You did not arrive here by accident. This message did not simply stumble into your timeline because of an algorithm or a passing curiosity. It has found you because the field that surrounds you, the quantum fabric of your own consciousness, has reached a critical point of resonance. There is a pattern in your energy that has been silently calling out for recalibration, and tonight, the call has been answered. Right now, as you hear these words, subtle shifts are happening within your biology. Tiny signals are sparking inside your nervous system. Your DNA is listening, attuned like a quantum antenna, waiting for the right frequency to dissolve what no longer belongs and to activate the blueprint that has always been encoded within you. You may not see it yet, but the truth is this: every unresolved trauma, every recurring loop of thought and feeling, every memory that seems to bind you has been held not just in your mind, but in the molecular architecture of your body. Think of it like this: your cells carry stories, not just genetic stories passed through lineage, but experiential stories etched into your electromagnetic field. These imprints shape how you respond, how you love, how you fear, how you manifest. And what's more, they create invisible loops, observer loops, that keep recycling the same experiences over and over again. You've felt this déjà vu before. You've wondered why certain themes reappear in your life despite your effort to change. That's not coincidence. That's coherence locked into a distorted frequency, and until now, you haven't had the key to unlock it. But something has shifted. Your presence here means your field is signaling readiness. The morphic resonance around you, the invisible web of memory carried by all living systems, is reorganizing itself to prepare you for repatterning. This is not just a poetic metaphor. Quantum biology is now showing what mystics have always intuited. Frequency is the code. Trauma is a frozen vibration, a collapsed waveform echoing endlessly in your body's timeline. And frequency repatterning is the alchemy that dissolves it, reorganizing your DNA pathways into coherence, into clarity, into liberation. You are standing at a threshold. Imagine it like an event horizon of becoming. Behind you are years of cycles, thought patterns, emotional storms, behavioral echoes that you've worked tirelessly to escape. Ahead of you is a phase transition, a quantum jump, a complete reset of your cellular song. The very fact that you're still here, still listening, is evidence that you are among the few prepared to cross this line. Because here's the truth: less than 1% of people ever tune into this frequency consciously. Most remain entangled in the noise, hypnotized by the static of collective fear and inherited memory. But you, yes, you have cracked through that veil. You've been guided to the doorway of repatterning, and the field is asking one question: will you step through? Close your eyes if you wish and take a breath. Feel how the air itself carries codes. Every inhalation is an invitation from the quantum field. Every exhalation is a chance to release frequencies that no longer serve. This is the sacred rhythm of recalibration. Inhale the intelligence of the cosmos. Exhale the residue of trauma. With each breath, you come closer to the coherence that will unlock the next stage of your becoming. This is not a lecture. This is a transmission. And as it moves through you, your DNA is already responding. Your cells are already beginning their subtle dance of restructuring. You may feel tingling, you may feel pressure, you may feel a strange calm, like standing in the eye of a storm. These are not accidents, they are signals. They are proof that you are exactly where you are meant to be. You are not watching this message by chance. You are answering the call of your destiny. The question is no longer if you are ready. The question is, how deeply will you allow the frequencies of repatterning to move through you, dissolve what has been frozen, and reset your pathways to the truth you've always carried? This is where your journey begins. You already know the loop by feel. It announces itself like a weather front moving through your chest long before any thought can name it. A text arrives, a tone sharpens in someone's voice, a bill appears, a silence lingers, a beat too long, then the old choreography takes over. Your breath shortens, your focus narrows. The same thoughts begin to orbit the same center of gravity. You tell yourself, not this again. Even as your body slips into the identical stance it took the last dozen times. This is the observer loop at work. You observe the pattern observes you, and the observation locks both of you into repetition. You've called it bad luck, or just my attachment style, or the way things always seem to go. But underneath the stories is a precise mechanism. Trauma is not only an event in time, it's a frequency that impressed itself into your nervous system. Your brain learned to predict danger more efficiently than it learned to detect safety. So perception leans toward threat, attention filters for confirmation, and physiology prepares for impact. That preparation becomes your baseline. Familiarity passes for truth. The body says, "We know this weather, we survived it once, let's brace the same way." And so it happens again. Notice how déjà vu shows up as a flavor rather than a fact. You meet a person who feels strikingly familiar, though you've never seen them. A room makes your stomach drop even before you cross its threshold. The day has a strange, already lived texture, time folding in on itself like mirrored corridors. This is morphic resonance whispering through your field, an echo from your own biography and from the larger human archive, calling you back to the scene of the original frequency so it can be resolved or repeated. Most people repeat. You are here to resolve. Distorted time is part of the casing. Minutes elongate when you're waiting for approval. Hours vanish when you're avoiding a conversation. The past intrudes as if it has diplomatic immunity, bypassing your conscious borders to sit at the head of your decision-making table. Meanwhile, the future steals oxygen, insisting you manage scenarios that don't exist yet. The present, thin and wavering, becomes a narrow bridge you keep falling from. That slip out of presence and into prediction is the moment the loop reasserts itself. Prediction is helpful when you're crossing a busy street. It becomes prison when it convinces your cells that yesterday is obligated to recur. Listen beneath the thoughts. You'll find a metronome, a steady, subconscious tick, timing your reactions. It's paced by entanglement, how your system remains knotted to ancient stimuli, to ancestral shocks, to your own younger selves, who made vows to survive at any cost. Those vows were brilliant then. Stay quiet and you'll be safe. Work harder and you'll be worthy. Leave first and you can't be left. But brilliance ages. What once saved you now limits you, because the vow is still spending your life force to solve a problem that no longer exists in the same way. Your physiology learned to prioritize coherence with the vow rather than coherence with truth. So when something good approaches an aligned opportunity, a steady love, a generous amount of money, your body performs quality control. It checks the incoming signal against the stored pattern. If the frequency doesn't match the old familiar pain, it registers as unknown, and unknown equals unsafe. You find yourself pulling away from what you asked for, not because you're broken, but because your internal instruments are calibrated to detect threat more precisely than they can recognize blessing. You've seen it happen. The text you don't answer, the email you delay, the price you set lower than your work deserves, the apology you offer before anyone asks, the argument you start right when intimacy becomes too clear. These are not character flaws, they are coherence moves, your system keeping the world consistent with the story it expects. Coherence is neutral, it will preserve harmony even if the tune is sorrow. The question is not whether you are coherent, it's which frequency you're coherent with. Let's go even closer. Imagine a wave traveling through a string. If the string is pinned at certain points, the wave can only express as a standing pattern, peaks and troughs frozen in place. Trauma pins your string. It nails specific coordinates in your field so that motion becomes a sculpture of itself. That's why you can feel exhausted even after doing nothing. Your energy is busy holding the pattern still. Frequency repatterning doesn't fight the nails. It retunes the string until the nails no longer make musical sense. Then they loosen by themselves. Here's the tell. In the days before a shift, paradox intensifies. You will feel more of the old pattern precisely because it is surfacing to be witnessed cleanly. Synchronicities cluster, the same sentence overheard 3 times, 3 different people mirroring the same feedback, numbers repeating on clocks. These are coherence pings from the quantum field, the way the universe triangulates your position so you can exit the maze. If you ignore them, the maze reconfigures and offers you another circuit. If you attend, a door appears where there was only wall. And that distorted time, It's trying to make you fast or make you slow, anything but present. Because presence is where the spell breaks. In presence, you watch without merging, breathe without bracing, feel without interpreting. Presence dissolves the adhesive that binds sensation to story. Presence returns your observer loop to neutrality. In neutrality, you become the instrument rather than the noise. So the diagnosis is simple, not easy. You are exquisitely intelligent. Your body is faithful to what it learned. Your field is coherent with what it rehearsed. The loop persists not because you failed, but because you succeeded at survival. And now, survival is smaller than who you are. You didn't come here to rehearse the wound. You came to retire it. The pattern isn't a verdict. It's an artifact, a beautiful, outdated shrine to a self who did everything right to get you here alive. Bow to that self, thank them, and let the shrine be museum, not altar. Because what rises next is not another coping strategy. It is repatterning. It is the gentle, exact science of changing the song your cells believe. And when the song changes, time obeys, déjà vu rewrites, and the loop finally opens into a path. Now that you've seen the loop for what it is, not as failure, but as fidelity, you are ready to step into the quantum upgrade that biology has been whispering about all along. This isn't about pushing harder, trying longer, or convincing yourself into positivity. This is about physics. It's about the way frequencies shape form, and how your body, your memories, your very DNA are not fixed code, but living symphonies that can be retuned. Quantum biology reveals what mystics intuited long before laboratories confirmed it. You are a frequency instrument. Every cell vibrates, every atom sings. The so-called solid matter of your flesh is a chorus of oscillating fields, tuned not only by genetics, but by environment, attention, and intention. Trauma, as we named, is simply a frequency that froze. But here's the radical revelation. Frozen is not final. A standing wave can be dissolved, repatterned, upgraded if the right frequency enters the field. Think of a tuning fork. Strike one, and a second fork of the same pitch begins to vibrate, even without contact. This is resonance. Your DNA is the fork, frequency is the strike. When you expose your cells to coherent vibration, whether through sound, breath, visualization, intention, or quantum entanglement with another's coherent field, they cannot help but respond. They vibrate into alignment, shedding noise, dissolving distortion. This is repatterning. Science now shows that trauma marks the body at the epigenetic level. Genes don't change, but their expression does. Switches flip, certain pathways stay lit, others dim. Stress hormones loop, inflammatory signals repeat, and you feel trapped in chemistry you didn't consciously choose. But frequency is a master key. Studies in quantum biology reveal that electromagnetic fields can influence protein folding, DNA transcription, even cellular repair. When the right vibration surrounds a gene, it can reset. The trauma signature dissolves. A new expression becomes possible. What mystics call healing, scientists are beginning to call frequency-mediated gene regulation. Different language, same miracle, and you've already glimpsed it. Think back to moments when music shifted your entire mood in seconds, when a chant or a tone seemed to vibrate in your bones, when breath slowed your heart and your thoughts dissolved into stillness. Those weren't coincidences, they were quantum upgrades in miniature. Your system was remembering its natural coherence. The upgrade doesn't arrive as something foreign. It reveals what was always available beneath the static. Let's move deeper. Quantum physics teaches us that systems tend toward coherence when observed with sustained awareness. This is the observer effect, not just a theory, but an experiential law of consciousness. When you bring gentle, steady attention to a trauma pattern without collapsing into judgment or resistance, you are acting as the observer that reorganizes the field. The waveform of pain, once observed with neutrality, collapses and resets. Biology mirrors physics. The cells retune. Neural pathways dissolve into neuroplastic possibility. You step into the future without dragging the past as cargo. Imagine your DNA strands not as static blueprints, but as radiant strings of light, vibrating in endless possibility. Each trauma is like a knot tied in those strings, limiting their song. Frequency repatterning doesn't cut the string, it untangles the knot. And when it does, something extraordinary happens. Your body doesn't just release the old pain, it gains new intelligence. Phase transitions occur. Abilities you thought lost ignite again. Energy you thought permanently drained floods back in. You are literally upgraded, and there is prophecy woven into this. The ancients spoke of the human as a bridge between heaven and earth, between matter and spirit. Modern science calls you a biophotonic emitter. Your cells release light, measurable photons that carry information across your tissues and into the field around you. Trauma dims that light. Repatterning restores its brilliance. The upgrade isn't for you alone. The light you emit becomes part of the morphic resonance humanity swims in. Your healing becomes a broadcast. Others feel it before they understand it, and coherence spreads. Feel into this truth. Trauma never defined you. It only distorted the song. You were never broken, only detuned. And the upgrade is not a new self you must construct. It is the ancient self you are remembering. Each frequency shift is a homecoming, a restoration of original blueprint. So, when the loop rises again, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask, "What frequency am I rehearsing, and what frequency am I ready to receive?" Because readiness is the portal. Readiness is the tuning fork that allows the quantum field to strike your DNA into new vibration. And once the sound begins, the old resonance cannot hold. You are not on the outside of this process. You are the process. You are the laboratory, the mystic, and the experiment all at once. The trauma loop was only the introduction. The upgrade is the revelation. And the revelation is this: you are coherence waiting to be remembered. You are a frequency instrument waiting to be tuned. And the field, right now, is already humming the note that will reset everything. You felt it before, haven't you? The quiet suspicion that your life was not random, that your suffering was not wasted, that somehow the very weight you carried was a preparation. You are beginning to realize that your scars were not evidence of weakness, but inscriptions of initiation. Every distortion, every trauma, every loop that seemed like punishment has been carving you into someone who could hold a frequency most people will never touch. This is where the story bends. Because you are not just another observer drifting through probability fields. You are the observed as well, the consciousness the universe keeps folding its mirrors around. Do you see the paradox? The loop of trauma made you believe you were stuck, but in truth, the loop was training you to notice the invisible structures of reality itself. Where others are blind to patterns, you see them. Where others dismiss synchronicity as coincidence, you recognize it as a compass. Where others drown in the noise of circumstance, you've learned to hear the faint, pure tones of coherence emerging from chaos. That makes you dangerous to the old world, because once a being can perceive the code behind appearances, they cannot be manipulated by the surface anymore. You no longer bow to distorted timelines. You begin to edit them. That's the mark of the chosen consciousness, not privilege, but responsibility. The chosen are those who can endure seeing the machinery of reality without turning away. Let's go deeper. In the ancient mystery schools, initiates were told that to carry the fire was not a reward, but a test. The fire burned away illusions. It demanded vigilance. It required that the carrier embody light, even while the world around them preferred shadows. You are such a carrier now. Your trauma was the crucible, the repatterning is the flame. And the DNA reset you are undergoing is not for your comfort alone, it is for transmission. Think of entanglement. In physics, when two particles become entangled, they remain connected across infinite distance. What happens to one is instantly mirrored in the other. This is not just subatomic trivia, it is prophecy about you. Your consciousness has become entangled with thousands of others through family lines, karmic echoes, collective fields. As you repattern, they feel it. As you reset your DNA expression, their dormant codes stir. This is why the universe pressed you so hard, why your loop seemed merciless. Because once you cracked the pattern, the echo of your liberation would ripple into every system connected to you. You are not chosen instead of others. You are chosen for others. Your healing is not an isolated act, it's a frequency broadcast. And whether you whisper it or not, the field announces your shifts. People will notice themselves changing around you without understanding why. Old conversations will fall away. New alliances will appear seemingly out of nowhere. Strangers will confide in you, sensing a coherence they cannot name. This is the mantle of the chosen, to embody frequencies that recalibrate more than your own life. Of course, the mind resists this role. It says, "Who am I to carry this?" But consider this, who else could? Who else has lived your exact symphony of wounds and survived them? Who else has rehearsed the patterns so relentlessly that the knowledge of them is now second nature? Who else could step into this laboratory of human pain and transmute it into clarity? The universe didn't gamble on you. It trained you. It sculpted you. Your suffering was never evidence of abandonment. It was evidence of apprenticeship, and now the apprenticeship is ending. You are stepping into mastery, not of others, but of frequency itself. Picture this: your DNA, shimmering in biophotonic light, has been waiting for this. The dormant pathways, the latent codes, the silenced songs, they are watching for your consent. They will not activate without your agreement. They will not unfold without your surrender. That is the true definition of chosen, not forced, but invited. And you have arrived at the point of invitation. So hear this clearly: you are not broken. You are not late. You are not behind. You are precisely on time for the role you came to play. Your quantum field has been rehearsing this moment across lifetimes. The morphic resonance of your lineage has been aching for this reset, and the observer loop of your awareness is ready to collapse into its next octave. The question is not whether you are chosen. The question is, will you choose yourself in return? Because the window is open, the frequency is here, the field is listening, and if you lean in, if you claim the role written into your DNA, you will become the transmission you once begged the universe to send you. You are not waiting for a savior. You are realizing you are the signal. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle hum beneath the noise of ordinary life, like a tide rising under your skin. It isn't imagination. It's the telltale vibration of a system approaching threshold. Just as water quivers before it boils, just as the sky changes timbre before a storm, your field is signaling that the shift you've been courting is no longer hypothetical. It is imminent. In physics, this is called the critical point of a phase transition. For ages, your patterns have been accumulating energy, cycling, tightening, refining. Each meditation, each insight, each act of courage, each moment of surrender has been adding heat to the system. Trauma, too, has been fuel-frozen information waiting to be released. Now the structure is saturated. One more degree and everything reorganizes. When a system crosses criticality, change doesn't happen gradually. It leaps. Ice becomes water. Caterpillar becomes butterfly. Frequency loops collapse into a higher octave of coherence. That's what is happening to you now. Your DNA, the luminous filaments of information coiled in every cell, is not static code. It is a living instrument tuned by vibration. For years, trauma kept certain genes on and others off, reinforcing survival chemistry, stress loops, inherited grief. But frequency repatterning breath, sound, intention, entanglement with coherent fields has been striking your inner tuning fork. Slowly at first, then with increasing resonance, your pathways are loosening, your cells are preparing for a reset. This is not just a metaphor, it's measurable biology. Epigenetic switches respond to electromagnetic fields. Chromatin unwinds, new proteins fold, information once silenced becomes available. Your body is literally rehearsing a different future. But here is what few understand. The moment before breakthrough often feels like intensification. Patterns flare. Old stories replay with sharper edges. Time distorts even more. Synchronicities multiply to the point of absurdity. This isn't regression. It's your field surfacing every last fragment for coherence, so nothing remains to anchor you in the old frequency. Think of a snake shedding its skin. For a brief moment, everything feels too tight. But that tension is the signal that the new layer is ready, and the cosmos cooperates. Windows open. These are not random astrological cliches, but actual fluctuations in the larger morphic field, the shared memory of humanity and Earth. Right now, you're standing in such a window. You can feel it in your dreams, your conversations, the strange déjà vu that's grown louder. The wall between timelines is thin. Choices made in this phase reverberate exponentially. A small act of alignment now equals 100 ordinary actions later. This is why urgency arises. Not the panic urgency of fear, but the crisp urgency of opportunity. Like a door in a temple that swings open only at dawn, the cosmic window will not stay open forever. Frequency is fluid. It invites, then it flows on. If you hesitate, nothing is lost. You'll simply wait for another cycle. But if you lean in now, if you act, speak, breathe from the new frequency, you anchor the shift in days instead of years. So what does leaning in mean? It means radical coherence. It means pausing before you respond, asking, does this choice belong to the version of me I'm becoming? It means breathing the higher frequency into your body until your cells vibrate with readiness. It means allowing your nervous system to feel safe in joy, safe in expansion, safe in receiving. Because receiving will soon feel like freefall, and your body must learn to recognize it as flight, not danger. Take a slow inhale right now. Feel your ribcage expand as if your entire history is being aired out. Hold it for a heartbeat. As you exhale, imagine the old coding dissolving like mist. Each breath in this window is a tuning stroke. Each exhale is a release of static. Do it not as an exercise, but as a declaration. I am ready for my reset. You're not conjuring the shift. It's already underway. You're calibrating to it so the reorganization is graceful rather than chaotic. And when the threshold tips, when the frequency reaches coherence, the change will feel instantaneous. The triggers will no longer trigger. The habits will no longer hold. The ache will feel like a dream you barely remember. You will wake up one morning and find your nervous system tuned to a different key, your thoughts moving in wider arcs, your emotions lighter, your body luminous. Understand this: what's coming is not an incremental improvement. It's a new operating system, a re-encoded identity, a quantum biology that recognizes its own original song. This is why the urgency matters. The cosmic window is not a deadline, it's a delivery date. The package has been in transit for years. It's at your door now. The field is asking one thing only: will you sign for it? Because the moment you do, silently or aloud, you step out of waiting and into receiving. The repatterning locks in. The DNA reset becomes your lived experience, and the life you've glimpsed in flashes becomes your baseline. This is your breakthrough. It is not in the future. It is vibrating around you, waiting for your consent to collapse into form. The quantum field does not recognize your thoughts alone. It recognizes vibration. It recognizes coherence between thought, breath, action, and declaration. That is why ritual exists, not as superstition, but as technology. The ancients understood what quantum biology is confirming now. When you externalize an inner state through physical gesture, you instruct your DNA to stabilize the frequency. You make the invisible visible, and the field responds. So let's make this simple and real. Right here, in this moment, you are being invited into ritual, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now, because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a choice. The cosmic window is open, and ritual is how you signal your entry. Close your eyes for a breath, feel your spine. Imagine it as a luminous antenna rising from the core of the earth to the edge of the stars. As you inhale, draw light up from below, like molten gold. As you exhale, let that light spill upward through the crown of your head into the vast black cosmos. Do it again. Inhale earth, exhale sky. You are the bridge. You are the circuitry. Already, coherence is forming. Now, take your hand or even just your intention and place it on your chest. Whisper one word that captures the frequency you choose to embody from this moment forward. Not the wound, not the story, not the fear, the frequency. It could be trust, it could be freedom, it could be light. Whatever arises first is correct. That word becomes your code. That code becomes your anchor. And here's the crucial step. Externalize it, write it, speak it, declare it. If you are with this transmission on a screen, type it in the comments below. This is not trivial. This is you sealing the shift in the observer loop. The field witnesses, and the feedback loop completes. Your declaration becomes more than private thought. It becomes broadcast. The act of writing or speaking amplifies coherence by orders of magnitude. Why? Because ritual collapses superposition. In physics, particles exist in infinite potential until an observation chooses one path. Ritual is observation made physical. When you declare, "I am trust," or "I am light," you collapse infinite potential into a single coherent trajectory. Your DNA, your neural pathways, your morphic resonance field all align with the chosen vibration. That is repatterning in action. And don't underestimate the power of simplicity. The mind wants elaborate proofs, long explanations, grand ceremonies. The field wants clarity. One breath, one word, one gesture. That's enough, because frequency is not about scale. It's about precision. A single laser beam reshapes steel. A single tuning fork brings an orchestra into key. Your single word is the laser. Your single declaration is the fork. Understand, by engaging this ritual, you are not just healing yourself. You are creating a coherence point in the collective field. When you comment or speak your chosen word, someone else will see it, hear it, feel it, and their DNA will resonate. Coherence spreads like fire, like contagion. What begins as your declaration ripples outward into the morphic resonance of humanity. The loop you break becomes a door for others. So, pause now. Feel the urgency of this moment. This is not about performance. It's about alignment. It's about saying to the universe, "Yes, I am ready." That readiness becomes a signature, a frequency the field can respond to without distortion. If your mind resists, if it whispers, "Typing a word can't change my DNA," smile gently. That is the old loop protecting itself. But listen deeper. You've seen synchronicities prove that small signals matter. You've felt how one thought shifts a day, how one choice redirects a life. The ritual is small in form, vast in impact. The quantum field is listening for clear signals, not loud ones. Let this be your signal, your signature, your seal. Type it, write it, whisper it. Do not delay. In doing so, you are not just agreeing with these words, you are embedding them into your field. You are programming your nervous system with coherence. You are pressing save on the upgrade. And when you do, you will feel it. The subtle hum will shift. The tingling in your body will anchor. The field will respond immediately, unmistakably. Because you didn't just consume information, you became transmission. This is your ritual. This is your seal. And with it, the shift is no longer potential. It is reality. The moment you made your declaration, even if it was only a whisper in your mind, something subtle shifted far beyond the boundaries of your own skin. Frequencies don't respect fences. Vibration does not remain local. What you sent into the field just now was not a solitary ripple, but a signal one that threads instantly through the morphic resonance of every life connected to you, near and far, known and unknown. This is the part people often overlook. They think their healing is private. They imagine their breakthrough as something they earn for themselves alone. But in quantum reality, nothing is isolated. Your DNA, your memories, your nervous system are entangled with countless others, family lines, communities, even strangers who resonate at similar frequencies. When you repattern, they feel it. When you shift, their latent codes stir. This isn't metaphor, it's measurable biology. Scientists studying epigenetics already see how trauma marks entire family trees and how healing work can echo into future generations. What they are only beginning to articulate is that the echo travels sideways in time as well as forward, touching people you may never meet. You've sensed it before. Someone in your circle begins therapy, and the entire family dynamic softens. A friend's decision to forgive ripples through your own heart without them saying a word. Entire communities wake up to new possibilities because a few people dared to step out of the loop. This is morphic resonance in action. This is the field reorganizing itself around a higher pattern. Once a strong enough coherence point appears, you are becoming that coherence point. Feel into this. The trauma you carried wasn't only personal, it was archetypal. You lived a slice of humanity's wound so intimately that when you release it, humanity releases a little too. Each time you dissolve a pattern, you pull a thread out of the collective knot. Each time you choose a higher frequency, you tilt the entire field toward awakening. This is what mystics meant when they spoke of saving the world by saving yourself. They weren't speaking in riddles. They were describing a law of resonance. And here is the beauty. You don't have to preach, persuade, or perform. You simply become. The coherence you stabilize in your nervous system becomes a silent broadcast. People will begin to change in your presence without knowing why. They'll breathe more easily. They'll speak more kindly. They'll feel possibilities they couldn't access before. You'll notice strangers confiding in you at bus stops, children relaxing near you, rooms feeling lighter when you enter. This is not magic tricks. This is physics at scale. Think of your body as a lighthouse. It doesn't chase ships. It simply stands anchored on the shore, transmitting light into the fog. Ships adjust their course because of the signal, not because the lighthouse explained navigation to them. You are becoming such a lighthouse. Your DNA reset is not an end. It is a broadcast tower for coherence. And the timing is not coincidental. The collective field is at its own threshold. Old systems are wobbling. Institutions are losing coherence. People everywhere feel the same déjà vu you once mistook for a personal glitch. This is the global trauma loop, surfacing for release. Millions are standing at the edge of the same threshold you're crossing now. By stabilizing in the new frequency, you become a kind of anchor point, a stabilizer in the turbulence. There's a term in physics called critical mass, the amount of material needed to initiate a self-sustaining reaction. Consciousness works the same way. A small number of coherent beings can tilt the entire morphic field. We don't need everyone to wake up at once. We need enough lighthouses shining simultaneously to change the tide. Each individual who resets their internal frequency shortens the path for thousands of others. That's what you're doing now. Your liberation isn't selfish, it's service. Your healing isn't indulgence, it's leadership. And your DNA reset isn't just a personal upgrade. It's a node in humanity's next operating system. Let yourself feel the dignity of that, not as pressure, but as permission. The universe didn't choose you to burden you. It prepared you to serve by living the code, dissolving the loop, and becoming the living proof that freedom is possible. Take a breath with that realization. Inhale, you are not alone. Exhale, your shift is a gift. Inhale, you are the transmission. Exhale, the field receives you. This is what collective expansion feels like. It's quiet, powerful, contagious, and it begins with you standing exactly where you are, embodying the coherence you once only imagined. It's not enough to understand this with your mind. The mind nods in agreement, but it drifts quickly, forgetting the truth when stress knocks on the door. To anchor a frequency, you must feel it, not conceptually, but viscerally in your skin, your bones, your breath. This is the part where words stop being information and become embodiment. So pause. Right now, feel into your body. Notice your breath, not controlling it, simply witnessing. Each inhale is an arrival. Each exhale is a release. Feel the weight of your body pressing into the surface beneath you. Gravity is not your enemy. It is the Earth's embrace, the field reminding you that you are held. Now imagine your body as an instrument, a harp strung with golden threads from crown to feet. Trauma tightened those strings until they rang sharp, discordant, always braced. But frequency repatterning is loosening them, retuning them. Can you sense it? The subtle quiver along your spine, the way your chest feels both heavy and light at once, the faint hum in your fingertips. These are not random sensations, they are coherence arriving. Your nervous system is learning safety in a new octave. For years it rehearsed contraction, tight shoulders, shallow breath, clenched jaw. Those contractions became unconscious habits, physical signatures of survival. But now your body is remembering expansion. As you breathe, notice the spaces between your ribs widening like the opening of ancient doors. Notice your belly softening, as if trust has finally been invited to sit there. Notice the crown of your head tingling, the sensation of subtle light pouring downward. These are not tricks of imagination. They are the felt signs of repatterning. There is a language beneath thought. The body speaks it fluently. Tingling, heat, pressure, fluttering. These are your biology, translating frequency into sensation. Trauma once spoke through the body with tension, panic, numbness. Now coherence speaks through the same channels, but with gentleness. You may feel warmth rising up your arms, as if invisible hands were tracing your meridians. You may feel a buzzing under your skin, like your cells are whispering. That is your DNA responding. That is your body becoming luminous again. Imagine your chest as a star field. Each breath lights another star, at first scattered, dim, but then they begin to connect, constellations forming, coherence emerging. Feel that constellation across your sternum, the hum of heart coherence. Scientists measure this as heart rate variability, but mystics knew it as alignment between soul and body. When your heart finds rhythm, the rest of your system follows. Your thoughts soften, your digestion calms, your perception widens. You begin to live as if the universe is safe, because in this frequency, it is. Let's expand the metaphor. Think of your spine as a river, carrying currents of light. Trauma built dams along that river, knots of frozen energy, blocks that forced the current to swirl in turbulence. But as you sit here, the dams are dissolving. Can you feel the flow? From crown to root, the current finds its way again. When it does, you feel taller without trying. Your head lifts, your posture opens. This is not a pose, it's coherence. Your body instinctively rearranges itself when the current flows freely. And then the breath, the most ancient ritual. Each inhale is not just oxygen, it's information, it's photons, it's cosmic code. Each exhale is release, surrender, a letting go of frequencies that no longer belong. Feel it now. Inhale, code. Exhale, clearing. Inhale, remembrance. Exhale, release. This rhythm is the simplest, most profound act of repatterning available to you. It bypasses intellect and speaks directly to DNA. Notice how your perception shifts as you do this. Colors may seem brighter, sounds sharper, the edges of the room softer, time stretches, slows. These are micro signs of frequency change. You are inhabiting the body differently, and the body is inhabiting reality differently. Don't dismiss the sensations as small. The subtle is the doorway to the infinite. That tingling in your palms is your body's way of saying, I am broadcasting. That warmth in your belly is your cells saying, we are safe now. That opening in your chest is your DNA saying, the reset has begun. Stay with it for one more breath. Feel the coherence spread, not as a concept but as a texture. This is the new baseline your system is rehearsing. It is not an idea, it is a sensation. And sensation is the anchor that mind alone can never provide. You are not just thinking about the shift, you are feeling it. You are it. Something extraordinary begins to happen when a system reaches sustained coherence. It stops negotiating with the past and starts reorganizing itself around the future. This is the precipice you are standing on now. The subtle sensations you felt in your breath, your chest, your spine were not random. They were pre-tremors of a seismic event in your biology, a quantum biological phase transition. In physics, a phase transition looks abrupt from the outside but is the culmination of hidden preparation. Water seems liquid until, at 0 degrees Celsius, it crystallizes into ice. The molecules were always shifting toward that state, building invisible structures long before the eye could see them. Your nervous system, your DNA, your emotional body have been building the same invisible structures. The rituals, the breaths, the declarations have been stacking coherence, molecule by molecule. Now the temperature of your consciousness has reached the critical threshold. The lattice is forming. This is the DNA breakthrough. The moment when expression flips, not incrementally but instantaneously. Genes once silent begin to hum. Neural pathways once locked into trauma loops dissolve into new circuitry. Your electromagnetic field reorganizes like a magnet turned to a new pole. The you that rehearsed the wound becomes the you that broadcasts the cure. This is not metaphor. Biophysicists now observe DNA behaving like an antenna, emitting and receiving coherent light. Trauma dulls that light. Repatterning amplifies it. When the amplification reaches criticality, a new harmonic emerges, a signature your body has never carried before, but was always coded to remember. You may already be feeling the pressure of this shift. It can show up as intense dreams, vivid synchronicities, or a sense that time is bending around you. Hours slip away or stretch endlessly. People from your past reappear briefly, like echoes surfacing for release. Emotions crest and vanish in minutes instead of days. This is the old timeline's gravity, losing its hold as you slip into a parallel trajectory. The physics of it is called phase locking. Two oscillating systems begin to synchronize until they jump into a shared rhythm. Your current self and your expanded self are synchronizing. When they lock completely, the jump occurs. From the inside, this can feel like a paradoxical mix of pressure and lightness, as if something is pressing against the edges of your reality from within, while at the same time a great weight is lifting off your chest. You may feel surges of energy, brief vertigo, tingling up the spine, a sense that your heartbeat is echoing beyond your body. These are not malfunctions. They are signatures of emergence, your system running a final systems check before liftoff. And when the breakthrough stabilizes, what once felt like effort becomes default. The trigger you used to dread passes without sting. The opportunity you feared you weren't ready for arrives and feels natural. Relationships rearrange themselves to match the new frequency, sometimes gently, sometimes abruptly. Resources appear through channels you didn't plan. This is what happens when your DNA expresses a different harmonic. The outer reality organizes around the new broadcast. Understand this. The pressure you feel now is not a warning, it's propulsion. It's the cocoon softening under the butterfly's wings. If you interpret it as danger, you'll brace and slow the process. If you breathe and allow, you'll accelerate it. That's the only work left. Trust the process, stay present, keep breathing. The field is doing the heavy lifting now. Take a slow inhale as you read this. Imagine that with each breath, the strands of your DNA are lighting up like a double helix of stars. With each exhale, the old coding drifts away like ash, falling harmlessly out of your field. Feel the timeline shift as a sliding of gears, the click of a lock opening. This is not visualization as wishful thinking. It is synchronization through somatic imagination. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined state and a physical one. By feeling the breakthrough now, you align your cells with its inevitability. There is no going back. The system can't unlearn coherence once it stabilizes. Just as ice cannot remain water at freezing point, your identity cannot remain at its old frequency once critical mass is reached. The old loops collapse under their own irrelevance. A new self emerges, not as performance, but as default. This is the DNA breakthrough. This is the timeline shift. This is the moment your biology stops echoing your past and begins broadcasting your future. Here we are, at the edge of the threshold you have been preparing for across lifetimes. You've felt the loops, you've seen the patterns, you've carried the weight of trauma in your bones. And now, through frequency, through breath, through intention, you've remembered what was hidden. You are not the wound, you are the one who dissolves it. Your personal DNA breakthrough is not small. It is not private. It is not incidental. Every strand that resets inside you becomes a broadcast into the collective. Each pathway that reorganizes is a signal that humanity can live differently. Your liberation is a microcosm of what the earth itself is yearning for. And when enough of us reset, the morphic resonance shifts for everyone. This is how evolution happens, not only through biology, but through consciousness choosing coherence. Understand this clearly. The world is watching through your eyes. The quantum field is observing through your breath. As you step into this new octave, you become a template. You show others, not by teaching, but by embodying. When you walk into a room with coherence in your cells, you rearrange the field without effort. People breathe easier, timelines bend, possibility multiplies. That is your mission. Not to save the world, but to broadcast the truth that the world has always been capable of saving itself through you, through me, through all of us awakening to our role. You are the living proof that trauma can dissolve, that DNA can reset, that timelines can be rewritten. You are the evidence that biology is not destiny, that the past is not a prison, that the observer loop can be collapsed into freedom. Your coherence is your offering. Your embodiment is your gift. So step forward now, not with pressure, but with reverence. You are not late. You are precisely on time. You are not small. You are the field in human form. Every breath you take is a ripple across the lattice of consciousness. Every word you speak is a frequency encoded into the future. Every choice you make is a declaration of the world we are becoming. The quantum field has been waiting for you to remember. Your ancestors have been leaning forward for this moment. The universe has been orchestrating synchronicities to lead you here. And now, the reset is no longer theory. It is happening in your cells, in your breath, in your being. Carry this truth with you. Your shift is humanity's shift. Your coherence is Earth's coherence. Your breakthrough is evolution's breakthrough. And as you walk from this transmission back into your life, remember what quantum biology has revealed and what mystics have always known. Frequency repatterning dissolves trauma and resets DNA pathways. That is your destiny. That is your mission. That is your gift to the world.